Hello, welcome back, where I'm going to take you through the prep work of getting your model ready for UDK. So, for the editor, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to get everything set up. Make sure your texture maps are on there and your UVs are laid out. We're going to go ahead and go edit, delete by type history, and modify freeze transformations. We also want to center pivot. So those are the first three things we're going to be doing. Make sure your model is correctly scaled, and we want to look at Windows settings preferences. We want to go into settings and make sure you are using centimeter for working units, and make sure you save that and scale your object to real life. So if every unit was a foot, then this Jeep would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little over 5 feet tall, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet long. That's about exactly what a Jeep is. If you're not quite sure about your object, make sure you do some reference work and research to make sure you have the right size and scale. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this set up, because right now it would go through the plane. If we look at the Unreal Editor, everything we bring in will be, we want it to be at ground level. So we're going to go ahead and pull this up. Okay, and make sure the object just sits right on top of this plane, this axis on the Y. And then you should hit the insert key, and that will allow you to move your pivot point down to the floor. So we're going to need to select the grid snap, and we're going to snap that right on the floor, and then hit the insert key again. And now your pivot point is correct on this object. Make sure the object is centered. Okay. The only time you don't want an object centered is if it is a modular piece like a house or a wall or something that's going to be repeated along in UDK. So let's turn the Jeep off, and you're going to need to have everything in a layer. So let's just pretend that this is a house that is finished. So we need to do a couple things. We need to bring it up. Bring this object up so it just sits on the ground. And we need to go ahead and hit the insert key and click on the grid snap and snap it down. And hit insert key again. This time we are going to place this pivot point on one of the corners of the house, and it can be any corner you want. Usually it is, if you're looking at it, it's going to be the right hand corner, so that'll be on this corner here. So what I would do is go ahead and hold the V key down and snap this. Whoops. Hold the insert key down, and then we're going to go ahead and snap that to that corner point. Now, how I did that was I selected the insert key and held down the V key at the same time while I was moving it, and that snaps to the corner. Hit the insert key again. So I'm going to do it again. Hit insert key, and I can snap this anywhere I want while holding down the V key, and it'll snap to points. So snap to the corner, hit the insert key again, and now this model is ready to be exported. Again, you got to make sure that your scale is correct. And this scale is not correct. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet tall. So let's go ahead and scale that up. So we need about 12 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so a little bit taller. Okay, so that's about right for this building. Alright. Okay. Alright, so this building's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and let's move it kind of back in place in the center. Okay, and so that's all set up. So what you're going to do is make sure all your objects are set up that way where they set right on top of the ground plane. And just single game assets like this Jeep will be centered to itself. And then you'll select the insert key and move it down using grid snap. And then with the house, we have it sitting on the y-axis, and we snapped it to the corner. Okay, so these are now scaled and ready to be exported. With the house, I still need to go ahead and edit, delete by type history, and we can do a modify freeze transformations on that. Probably want to do that with the Jeep too, but we don't want to center pivot now. We want to just modify freeze transformations. There we go. So these two pieces are ready to be exported. Right, to do that, you want to go ahead and make sure that we have the exporter is on. So we're going to select the object, make sure everything's combined, and go to export selection and make sure it's on OBJ, or excuse me, we want it to be FBX. UDK only takes FBX, and we want it to export to selection. So it says FBX on here, so we want to go ahead and we want to call it your first name and last name and whatever the item name is. Okay, so let's go ahead and a couple things you need to select under geometry. You need to select smoothing groups and smooth mesh, and click on export selection. There we go. And we'll do the house, even though this doesn't have any textures on it. Let's go into export selection and export selection, and make sure you know where it's going. And then smoothing groups, smooth mesh, and your first, last name, and then describe what the object is, and export selection. There we go. Alright, so after you export all your assets and they are ready to go, then we need to scale these, and it's usually between 14 and 16, but I'm going to go ahead and test 16. And the funny thing is, even though it doesn't really matter how I scale this thing, it's still going to be right on the Y axes on the ground plane, so that's really great. So let's go in here, and after we scale it, we're going to go ahead and export it out. I'm going to overwrite the other one just because I forgot to scale it. So I'm going to go to that and just overwrite it. And yes. And we'll go to the house and do the same thing. Select that, scale it 16, 16, and 16. Okay, and then we'll export this one as well. And I'm just going to click on the house because I've already did that one. Yes. Okay. So now these are ready to be imported into UDK, and that'll be another tutorial, and I'll see you then.